All right, so let's take a look at three new projects. So today we have these three ones: Phoenix, Radiant, and Kaleidoscope. And as you can see, there's a lot of details here. This is actually a very simple setup. So I used my Mofractile plugin, which has not been released yet, but it will be in a couple of days. The geometry was made using some of my preset that I created for the Mofractile pack. And I decided to work a little bit with the camera angles. So as you can see, this is a 360 camera view, and I don't remember how it's called, but we are going to take a look at the project. And here I played a little bit with the lighting, and as you can see here as well, with a very wide lens. So yeah, let's take a look at the first project, which is Phoenix. And inside of the project file, as you can see, we have a camera or geometry. So, I'm plugging here the Mofractile plugin, which will be available soon. So geometry made using Mofractile and a lot of lights. So by default, I have my TFMSTYLE Mofractile preset folders open, and I'm gonna have a video about that in the next couple of days probably. So let's get out of the camera so we can take a look at some of the presets. So this was, I think, this one here, the preset 11. So as you can see, the Mofractile modifier has been applied on the shape, so there is no geometry node here. If you load this directly inside of your view, you will have all of your controls here. But yeah, let's delete that. And I'm using a panoramic view with the equi-rectangular type. So this is the first one. So I'm going to press render so we can see what we have. I think all of the faces of the model will be represented here as a spherical view. So I'm not really sure how this type of lens works exactly. But since I am inside of the model, as you can see, the camera is right in the middle of the model. Everything will be filled up with geometry. So yeah, this was a pretty nice look. And my thought was to make all three projects like that. But the thing is that they looked very similar from each other. So yeah, I went with some other lens type here that we are going to see pretty soon. So I'm going to go to the geometry, and we are inside of the shader editor. And as you can see, that's it. That's the texture that I used for this. It's just a glass BSDF, a little bit of roughness here, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about how this was made, but the important part was the lighting. So I used kind of the ray length of the light to be able to show you what's happening. I'm just going to delete everything. I'm going to let's add a cube, right? So we have a cube, and I'm going to delete all of this so we can have just one light so I can show you what's happening. I'm going to take this a little bit up. And of course, I need to add my glass BSDF on the model. So I'm going to add this. And something I need to do is close for now the compositor tab so we can see what's happening with the lighting, because it gets pretty interesting when you start and play around the radius. So as you can see, using the ray length in a map range, a color ramp emission, and inside of the light output, you can see that we have this nice kind of fake refraction happening, but this is happening on the light radius length itself. So we can change a couple of things, and of course we can change our colors. So again, I didn't have the ramp generator for this, but now that we have it, let's try it out. Random. And I need to take the exposure down so we can see the colors. So yeah, this is pretty much what's happening with my lighting using the ray length. And we can play around here to kind of shift the colors. And yeah, so of course, when you start adding up the lights, I'm gonna add a couple of more lights here so we can have something different. And I'm gonna go inside of my camera. I'm gonna set this back to 0. And as you can see here now with the panorama type, you can see how this looks like from inside of the cube. So yeah, this is pretty much what I did. So let's get back in the project. I'm gonna open it up again. And yeah, this is the result using this ray length technique. So all the lights have a radius and you can change the radius and this will shift the colors that you have inside of the color ramp. So again, I'm gonna try and change some stuff. We're gonna add colors, random position, and play around the radius. Ooh, this is nice. And you can do that with all of the lights. And their position are a little bit off. So as you can see, the point 1 is right in the center. This one is on the z-axis minus. This one is on the x-axis, 13 plus, 13 minus. And yeah, so I decide to position my light around the model inside of the cube so I can have some different type of colors. So all right, let's take a look at the second project. As you can see, same principle. I actually have the exact same model I had on the first project, but this time, as you can see, my camera is perspective with a big focal length set to 111 millimeter. And I have only one light this time. And let's press render. And yeah, so this is what we have. So, you know, a very easy setup. And with one light, again, with the ray length and map range in the emission, we have kind of this outlooks. So let's take a look at the radius, how this change. So yeah, you can see how by increasing the radius, we shift our colors. So the light is outside of our model. And as you can see, as I increase the radius, the ray is going to collide with the mesh and thus creating this nice color shift. All right, so let's take a look now at the third project. And I think this time I use another geometry. So I also put everything inside of a icosphere. So I'm going to close this now. It's not this one, it's this one. So this is the model that I made using the MorphFractile tool. And I'm going to jump inside of my camera. And as you can see, I have two spheres, one in the center. And the other one is enclosing all of the geometry. I think I made this to be able to have more reflection happening inside of our cube, of our MorphFractile cube. So yeah, you know, this is nice. I think without the outside layer, everything was a little bit too dark for me. But with the sphere outside, we had this nice kind of blur happening. And yeah, I just love how this looks. Again, we have a couple of lights with the same setup. Our camera, as you can see, perspective with a very wide focal length, so 4 millimeter. So let's take a look at the light placement. So again, this is in the center, minus Z, X, minus X, Y, and minus Y. So this is how I was able to create kind of this color shift. Again, you know, very simple setup, but of course, this was possible thanks to the MorphFractile plugin, which, you know, helps a ton. And as you can see, I can simply delete this. And with the exact same lighting setup, I'm just going to add another preset. I'm going to set everything down to 0. And inside of the MorphFractile, I'm going to add my material. And I actually need to add this as a object material for this to work. And yeah, this is what we get. So again, very simple setup. Of course, the geometry was made thanks to more fractal. So, this is why I'm creating these tools, because sometimes, you just need to load up a preset and play around with other aspects of the 3D process. So in this case, I just play around with the light and the ray length method. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.